until it actually does to us, I guess. But I think that's where my fascination lies, and perhaps where our culture's fascination lies. That, you know, it's been taken out of our world. And before somebody dies, you bring them into the kitchen table and clean them up right there. And so it's very different now. And so it's very mysterious and strange and fascinating. I mean, last night I even watched a DVD. I watched The First 48, which is a fantastic program about, it's not necessarily forensics, but it's more detectives solving murders in the first 48 hours. And it was a fascinating episode. And, you know, somebody gets cut in half.
And keep on watching.
What?
But you keep on watching.
I kept watching. I knew that the person had been cut in half from the beginning, and I kept watching. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, those are my speculations, but I think I'm fascinated by it, I guess, but horrified at the same time, especially when somebody's killed in a horrible way, like being cut in half by a samurai sword.
Is that your nerd side?
Is that my nerd side? Probably, yeah. I mean, science, that's one thing that fascinates me about the forensic shows is, and doing the show myself. I mean, math and science were my favorite subjects in school, and so I find it fascinating what they can figure out from, you know, the tiniest molecule and, you know, little particulates from, you know, a body to a crime scene to a suspect and everything they can do with bones on our show as well as blood.
What they did with the,
what did you say?
You arrived on the set and you saw the body that they prepared for you.
Yeah, do I get grossed out? Yeah. Yes, I mean it does sometimes.
Can you
absolutely.
name an example?
Whew, there's so many. I mean, the one that I had to put on a human hand as a glove, like the skin of a human hand. That made me really queasy. Maybe because at that point I'd already been used to the bones, and then the skin is just different and gross. And I also got really disgusted by, there was an episode, and I think in the second season, where there was coral found in a bone. It was about an astronaut, and that, I didn't like that. I didn't like the coral in the bone, for whatever reason, but yeah, there was an episode this past season, season 4, where somebody gets run over and totally squashed. That was pretty horrible. So that's the most recent one that was.
Do you ever bring it when you finish? Does it stick in your head afterwards?
Yeah, I had nightmares the first season, and then it really weighed on me the first season doing this about death, and I didn't want to see any of those shows. I couldn't handle it. It was a lot to think about, you know, to take on, to think about these people dying. And I know it's pretend, but as an actor, you have to believe it's real in the world of your character. And it's a lot to take on, and especially a character who kind of holds everything in. And so, you know, I think by the end of the first season, it was really hard. And then I got more and more used to it. I guess I got desensitized, and I don't know if that's good or bad, but it happened, and it makes my job easier. So I don't really have nightmares anymore about my work. If I have nightmares, it's about watching another show, like The First 48 or something like that.
Okay, we've got another question over here on the left.
Bonjour.
Est-ce que dans votre... s'il y aura encore le personnage du psychologue dans la 5e série, et si Bourne lui demande un avis à propos de son désir de maternité. En plus, elle pense que Temperance, c'est un homme choisi qui dit quelque chose de son personnage. Merci.
Okay, so the last part of the question was Temperance, the choice of the name. Does that have anything to do with your character?
I think so. I mean, you know, I think it's appropriate. It's interesting. I know I thought about that, especially at the beginning of doing the show. You know, it was kind of an inherited name, and it causes a lot of confusion for people because I don't know if you have the books by Kathy Reichs internationally. I assume that they are translated into different languages. But my character is based on Kathy Reichs, but is named after the character in her books, who is somewhat different from my character, but I think that Temperance is an appropriate name for both of them, and I think that was well thought out by Kathy Reichs for sure. But I know Hart Hansen, the creator of my show, just kind of took that name from the books. So I don't know if we should I guess we give credit to Kathy Reichs for that.
And then there was a question about Boone's involvement, his choice in this desire to have a baby. How implicated is he?
Oh, Booth. Yeah, well, he's... I asked him to be the father of my child. We're talking about Booth, right? Yeah. He's very apprehensive about becoming a father, especially in the way that I propose, just donating his sperm and not being involved, and he has a lot of problems with it, which I can understand. There's a lot of twists and turns by the end of the episode that I don't know. It's hard for me not to reveal certain things. I have to be very calculated about how I speak about these last couple episodes, but he's very concerned about it, and I don't understand his concern because it seems very simple to me that he donates his sperm, and he doesn't have to be involved. It's just a transaction, scientific transaction.
Il y avait une question sur le psychologue?
Non, je demandais du psychologue. Pendant la dernière saison, il y a le personnage du jeune psychologue qui fait la réunion, qui analyse le rapport entre Booth et
The character of the psychologist who analyzes the relationship between Booth and Brennan.
Et s'il Booth lui demande, lui questionne avec l'argument de son désir de maternité. Si Booth, elle parle avec lui de son désir de maternité et quel est le point de vue du psychologue sur cette décision de Booth.
Point of view of the psychologist.
Right. And within the context of the series, if I've understood correctly.
Right, okay. Well, it does come up in our sessions with the psychologist. That is where I discover that I want to have a child. We do a psychological game, so to speak, and I just discover that I want to have a child, basically. He thinks that it is a big decision to make, as most people would, and he's concerned that I am just rushing into this, and I just want to get this done. So rightly so, he's concerned that that we discuss it further, and that that I'm not being rash and rushing into a decision that's pretty huge. And then the rest of the question, how does it affect the context of the show?
C'est ça, au sein de la série, c'est ça que vous voulez dire, dans le contexte de la série? Right. Yeah, and how does it affect the show?
Well, it causes a lot of tension between Booth and Brennan. Basically, we are fighting about it. And